Hello everybody and welcome to the Real Housewives Edit. My name is Elle and I'm here to talk about the two loves of my life, editing and housewives. Well you guys, I am back. I am so excited to be talking to you guys again. Today we are going to be talking about the most recent episodes, and I say episodes because it was like a to be continued of the Real Housewives of Potomac. You guys know I absolutely love this franchise. I just find these ladies to be so authentic and so real in their storylines, even though sometimes it just feels like, what the heck, like how can this actually be real? As always, thank you for subscribing, liking the videos, your beautiful, wonderful, classy comments. I absolutely love reading your opinions and I love your feedback and all of the well wishes you've given me for the birth of my daughter. I really appreciate it, you guys. So let's just jump right in.
Oh, y'all knew I grew up in New York.
See how smooth that was, Mia? I popped that with no effort.
You really did, though.
So you're gonna put out your divorce statement when?
Soon.
Okay, so this is after that dance class, right? So they're kind of like, you know, popping champagne. It's sort of like light moments. What do you guys notice? There is no music.
You really did, though.
So you're gonna put out your divorce statement when?
Soon.
I think Potomac as a franchise in general uses far less music than, for instance, like Beverly Hills, just because I do believe the drama is just, I don't know what it is. It just feels more raw and real and less produced in Potomac. So they don't need to gild the lily. I talked about gilding the lily before, which is basically like painting the lily because the lily's already beautiful. The drama's already there. They don't need to add music to add, you know, enhance our experience or kind of give us more feelings to feel. They leave it pretty blank, and to me that is kind of the beauty of Potomac. I just love it about the franchise because they just deliver. So here they're popping champagne, things are light, and then Charisse turns the conversation, you know, in a little bit of a more serious direction towards Ashley and the whole house Michael Darby drama.
Like in the next day or two or next week?
When I get the loan for my house. This loan that I am pre-approved for via a connection that I have at the bank with Michael, it's better that we don't tell about our separation.
Okay. I actually want to talk to Candiace about something.
Okay, so something really minor and technical. In reality TV, they have camera people with the cameras, you know, you guys can see it. It's over their shoulder. These are super heavy cameras. They have like, you know, kind of, what are they called? Harnesses to make it easier to carry. By having them do the cameras handheld, as it's called, you get shaky stuff. You get stuff where they're sort of punching in. So the, you know, the lens is going closer. And you can see it right here with Ashley as she's talking about this house situation. It's very, very subtle, but they punch in a little bit on her, meaning they go closer on her at the end of sort of her explaining this, you know, sticky situation with Michael. You guys see me do it in these videos a lot where I like close up on something that I'm saying either for sort of comedic effect or an emphasis. And I believe personally that they went a little bit closer on Ashley there just as a sort of emphasis to what she's saying and sort of like us kind of leaning in like, what exactly is going on here? So sometimes they use camera movement to recognize what the audience is feeling and sort of doing as well.
To Candiace about something.
Why do you feel you need to talk to Candiace about Chris's behavior?
Listen, first Chris is sliding into Ashley's DMs. And then what happened?
Okay, so what they're doing now, they're cross-cutting this conversation out there with Ashley with this little situation going on with Candiace and Gizelle inside the room. Now, obviously, visually, it's very different. You know, the cross-cutting is really, really impactful when you have different visuals going on. Out there, you know, with Ashley's situation, it's a light, bright room, you know, normal lights. And then inside the dance room, it's, you know, this sort of purpley pink, dark lighting, kind of mood lighting. And it really provides a contrast that is kind of exciting for us. As soon as they go into the dance room and as soon as Gizelle says she needs a moment with Candiace, and as soon as the producer is asking her in her confessional why she needs a moment with Candiace, what do? They bring in some music that's sort of suspenseful.
I actually want to talk to Candiace about something.
Why do you feel
sort of gets us thinking like, ooh, something is coming. I know I say that a lot, like, oh, the music is telling you, ooh, something is coming, but honestly, that's always what they're trying to do. Try to find some other way to explain it, but really it's like, something is coming, get ready, don't change the channel. That's their whole goal, right? Don't change the channel.
And then what happened at the reunion did not make me feel good. Does Candiace need to know this? Yes, that is her.
Okay, and then also you can see as she's talking in her confessional, they cut to Candiace, and we've talked about this before. Sometimes they'll cut to the characters in the scenes almost as if they're hearing the confessional. Now we know Candiace was not hearing this confessional at all, but it does kind of add like a reaction for our brains to wrap our head around, like, oh, she's kind of reacting to what Gizelle is saying, and she's reacting sort of looking like, what the heck, which honestly, I think a lot of us are thinking. I don't know about you guys, like, I'm not like a Chris and Candiace stan, but I do believe all of this was a little bit inflated and just felt a little bit like, you know, Gizelle being messy. Like, people could say Gizelle producing something for the show, but I honestly just feel like even if the cameras weren't on, this is who Gizelle is. I love her as a housewife. I just honestly feel like this is who she is. I don't know what you guys think. I would love to hear your comments about Miss Gizelle.
Her husband.
What did I do?
You didn't do anything.
Yes.
Let's sit down. Listen.
Okay.
If Chris is making women feel uncomfortable, Candiace needs to know. She needs to nip this in the bud, because if he's doing things that are making people feel...
Okay, so that reaction that they got of Candiace when she says, like, I want to talk to Candiace for a second, I don't know about you guys, but I felt they left this in on purpose, the editors. She almost feels like she's like, wait, that's not the direction we were given. Like, this was not what I was expecting. We were expecting to go out to sit around, you know, and eat cupcakes. But like this, it just feels like Candiace is totally genuinely thrown off in this moment. And I think they wanted to show that because it will honestly set us off a little bit, like, whoa, like something, like if she's thrown off, we're thrown off. When the characters are super comfortable in it, like, oh yeah, no problem. The tension isn't very high for us. She almost like looks at the producer. She's gonna do it in a second, like where she kind of looks at the producers even before Gizelle says anything. And I feel like that it's another moment that sort of sets us off and gets us excited about what's about to happen.
People feel uncomfortable and no one says anything to him, he's gonna continue to do it.
So,
Right there.
So
right there, I feel like she's looking over at a producer. I don't know if it's a producer though, because we know at the end of the scene, she goes around looking for Eric, the producer. But I don't know who she's looking at here, but I know it's someone off camera. She's breaking the fourth wall. I know you guys know what the fourth wall is, but I'll explain it for any of you who don't. The fourth wall is here, right here. If I was in a scene with someone like this and then I stopped and looked at you guys, that's breaking the fourth wall. It's like in The Office, if you guys watch that, a lot of the times they'd be, you know, talking and then they look at the camera. Breaking the fourth wall, basically bringing the audience on the other side of the camera in, acknowledging that they know there's people on another side of a camera. That's breaking the fourth wall. So I believe she's kind of already doing it, even though she doesn't even know what Giselle's about to say.
I wanted to talk to you really quickly.
yes.
In light of Chris had DM'd Ashley and
There was a
Okay, so that pause I think was totally manufactured by the editors. I don't know, I will never know, and I could be totally wrong. But when she says the thing about the DM Ashley, and then Candiace's face is sort of like, oh, this is kind of where we're at right now, and kind of laughing like that was just such a silly thing. They really let that pause breathe and kind of play out.
Chris had DM'd Ashley and
Before Gizelle comes back in saying,
there was a situation.
kind of giving us a hint like Candiace thinks this is total BS. It's kind of giving us a nod if we think it's total BS. It's making us feel a little bit of tension in this conversation. Like Candiace isn't even like filling in the blanks. She's literally just like, oh my gosh, we're doing this.
There was a situation in which Chris made me feel completely uncomfortable. And I feel like at this point I should tell you.
What happened?
So we were at the reunion. We're in the hallway, we're talking.
These reaction shots from Candiace, I don't know about you guys, but I really feel like she's just like, there's no way like Chris would have done anything to Gizelle, like, or anything like that. But I do think she's like, okay, but I have to play along a little bit. But it's also so uncomfortable. Like, I don't know if you guys can relate to these. I don't even know how I can relate to these because I can't think of a situation that was similar to this, obviously. But it's that thing where someone that you know is not maybe been the nicest to you or the most trustworthy, and they're starting to stir up stuff where it's starting to get real. Maybe they've been a little bit shady before in your life, and now they're starting to get a little bit deeper where it's like, oh no, we don't touch that. That's the feelings that I'm getting from Candiace. I don't know what you guys feel, but her being like patient, being like, what happened? Like, there's just something about it that's very eerie, and the music is coming in and feeling very eerie too, plus the lighting. Plus she's kind of like licking her lips, which I think is like something I do like when I'm trying not to cry. I don't know if that's what she's doing, but there's a lot going on in this moment, and it's not just Gizelle talking. It's just, ooh, it's so layered. I love it.
And he was like, hey, can I talk to you in your room? And so I was like, cool. Because my glam's in my room, no big deal. Like, come on.
Yeah. I get to my room, my glam is gone.
And I immediately felt like I don't want to be in this situation.
So did he do something? Did he
No.
say something?
No.
Right.
He didn't.
Okay, so you guys can hear there's a big cymbal swell.
Something? Did he
No.
say something?
No.
And as soon as she says no, the cymbal goes out.
No.
Right.
He didn't.
'Cause he wouldn't do that.
The fire didn't start, the candle was blown out because did he do anything? No. Okay, great. What are we doing here is really the next line.
No, he
Okay.
did not.
So
And
what happened?
To be honest with you, Candiace, it was very late. It was a long day. I don't remember like exactly what he said, but I can tell you, I don't ever want to be in a bedroom
Right.
with a married man.
Yeah.
So the next day I tell Cal, and Cal was like, I don't like it because he knew I was gone, because he said goodbye to me before I left.
So this is
Okay, so there it is. So she looks again at what she was looking at before. She's breaking the fourth wall, although she's not looking straight into the lens yet. She's looking over at someone in production. I just know it. I don't know who it is, but she's looking at someone and she's almost rolling her eyes, and she's about to, break it even more.
this is a thing. We're doing Chris is being attacked. That's
No,
what
he's
we're doing.
not.
Chris thinks of you and Robin and Ash.
I love. So Candiace is totally like talking to all of the people off screen, like sort of like, oh, okay, this is the storyline we're hitting. And Gizelle is pretending that they don't exist. It's like Gizelle is like, I'm staying in the scene. Candiace is like, I am not in the scene because this is the scene I did not sign up for. Oh, I just love it so much. This is like the stuff that you would never see on, some of these other franchises that are a little bit more rehearsed. This just feels like, I don't know, this is like Candiace's real emotions taking over. It's not played at in any way. A lot of fourth wall moments to me, I think a lot of times they can be played at, people being like, don't get the camera away from me. Shannon one time in the OC was doing that, like, get away from me with the camera. And I felt like it was very put on. But this here, right here, oof, does not feel put on.
And Ashley as friends. You all have been
do
into
too.
our home. Chris has cooked for you.
Right.
Chris really looks at you all like sisters. But you want to say that the man who would lay his coat over a puddle for you to walk over,
I don't have
who
any
would cook
issues
you a
with
meal,
Chris.
who would pour you a drink, who would be there for you, whatever you would need, you want to say that my husband made you feel uncomfortable.
100%.
Got it.
Candiace, I get it, like, that's your husband, but you cannot just diminish how I felt. But I'm just telling you.
What are we doing?
Oh, I love that moment so much. She looks again at this off camera, whoever's there, and then she looks straight at the lens and she's like,
What are we doing? What is this?
it's like that moment, that feeling, and we can all relate to this, where you're like laughing, but at the same time you want to cry. Like she's laughing because of the absurdity, but also like humiliation, embarrassment. These are all of the things that the Potomac women let us see, which I am just so grateful for, and why I think it's one of the richest franchises in terms of characters, is like she is giving us all of her right now. She's not stopping at anything. She's not trying to put something on. Sometimes, people will try to like get super angry to cover up emotion, but she's really being real here. And when she looks off at the producers and then looks at the camera, oh my gosh, wow.
What is this?
I'm just telling you how it made me feel.
Okay, so after she says, they close up in Gizelle, and then they have like this long pause. The next cut, they cut to her. She's just getting up with her little sparkling cider and walking over to get her bags. And we as the audience should be like, we're not watching a reality show anymore. There's something bigger coming. And notice again, total lack of music. Just sound of her getting up, the awkward pauses between them, the silence when she's talking to the people off camera. No one's talking back to her, right? And she is just like totally alone on an island, and it's so awkward.
Where's Eric?
And then you can hear like the door opening, which you're sure like, okay, someone's like running out ahead of her. And then you actually see the camera person in there, like they're tracking this whole thing. It feels so behind the scenes. I love it.
I need Eric. I don't need the camera. I need to talk to Eric.
Is Candiace okay?
So that little sound that you heard, like that door creaking, again, I think it was someone running out ahead. I live for this stuff. But I do think that what happens is like if someone's leaving a scene, if they have like 2 or 3 camera people, they have one that sort of runs out ahead and needs to get ahead of them, right? Because they need to get them exiting, they need to get them walking down the hall. So that little like leaving in that creak, I think the editors could have easily taken that door out of there. But there's something about it that kind of gives like a little urgency, like someone's running out, which I think is actually the person who now is catching her in the hall. Whoever left before her, that was a camera person, like, oh, we got to catch this moment out in the hall too.
Okay.
If it's going to be about maligning my husband, you don't want me here. Michael Darby is available for that. The ass-grabbing motherfucker that likes to actually make people feel uncomfortable.
So really awesome. They cross-cut between Ashley saying like,
Is Candiace okay?
and now we have Candiace actually yelling at Eric, the producer, inside a bathroom. She doesn't care who's listening. She's not telling the camera to move away. She is absolutely standing her ground here with Eric. Now we're gonna skip forward to the next episode because this is about to be a to be continued, and they actually include more in this scene. They're kind of teasing it here, which they tend to do. They're going to include more of it in the next episode. So let's just skip forward to that.
I will not have
Why are
it.
you telling me?
Because I know that you know what's going on.
But I don't control what they say or do any more than I can control what you say.
Okay, so this was so exciting to get a little bit more insight of how the producers work. Now, I know a little bit just from like, getting my ear to the streets, as Gizelle would say, or getting the word on the street. I do know that their producers are there to push storyline along, ask people questions, and like kind of get a little bit more out of things, and like, well, why don't you go talk to her about it, And that's what he's kind of doing here. He's saying, why are you talking to me about it? Essentially saying, why don't you go in and address it with her? Because those are moments that we and Andy and Bravo want on camera. And she's like, no, because I know you know about this, meaning like you were part of this. This is part of her storyline. This is part of a storyline that everyone kept me out of. And if you want to keep me out of this, like I'm not going to have any part of it. Michael Darby's available for that storyline, which I just loved that line. I just love Candiace as a housewife so much. But it was just so cool to see this sort of behind the scenes of like a producer actually working with one of the cast members and kind of seeing like, oh, this is how they do it.
What you say and do.
It's bullshit. If you want that, Michael Darby is available for that. The ass-grabbing
And then they cut to Gizelle kind of walking slowly out of the dance room like, I was just doing my job. Like, not that I think that she was doing the right thing or saying the right thing, but I do think Gizelle is like a good housewife for certain reasons.
that likes to actually make people feel uncomfortable. He's available for that, not my husband.
Why is Candiace over there? Was she okay?
I think so. I think so.
Candiace is fine.
Why are you in the corner?
I think so.
Why are you in the corner?
Why are you there?
She's talking.
Okay, so now they're cross-cutting again. They're going back to the Ashley stuff. They're going back to that room. They have no idea what's going on, right? And Candiace is in there talking to the producer. You can tell on their faces that they have no idea what's going on, but they do know that something is a little bit more serious, because why would Candiace be talking to a producer in the corner? She's yelling out to them like, I'm fine. We talk about tone shift on this channel a lot, but it's not just a tone shift in terms of like, ooh, it was light and fun and now it's dark and heavy and serious. This is like, it was reality TV and now it's breaking the fourth wall and we're actually seeing behind the curtain of the reality TV. You can sense that shift. I don't know about you guys, but like watching this, like I was holding my breath. I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? What's going to happen? I just love it.
Talking. I think to Eric.
Uh-oh, what the happened? These women have.
And then it's like their whole thing changes when she said,
I think to Eric.
Wendy's voice totally changed, like went an octave lower and like just became like normal.
Uh-oh, what the happened?
Almost like she broke character, if you will. And then the music also kind of lends itself to that too.
Uh-oh, what the happened?
Sort of a walking down the stairs tone to it. So interesting.
Apologized for Michael Darby over and over and over again.
Hey, bud. All right. Please don't do that. Okay. Don't do that. All right. No problem.
I just don't feel like that's right for
That flashback footage of that happening, or he says, don't do that, and Michael's little laugh, that will always be in my nightmares.
him to put his hands on anybody.
If he walked in here right now, they would hug him and offer him tea and crumpets. Hi, Michael. I haven't seen you in so long. But my husband, who has never given anyone a reason to think ill.
So they're really heightening her speech here by giving her a lot of support with flashbacks. Like, I didn't really realize that people would just be super nice to Michael Darby. I didn't really like put that together, but she's saying it, and then they're showing proof of flashbacks of people sort of being like, hey, what's up? You know, sort of light with him. And that's really interesting. They're really supporting her speech here, which is just the editors doing, not just doing her a favor, but really showing the truth to the audience.
To think ill of him is now the target. Help me understand.
I'm sure you all have said something.
And you guys can see they punch in on her face again when she says, help me understand. She's really, really adamant. They're putting a lot of emphasis on her saying that and being like, now I'm holding you guys to the fire. And they punch in the camera a little bit closer to her. I love it.
Something about each other.
Yes, I've said things that are true. And don't cut out none of my fourth wall. None of it. I want it all in there.
Oh, I loved that so much when she told him.
And don't cut out none of my fourth wall. None of it. I want it all in there.
I said, thank you, Candiace. Because not only do we get that treat of her breaking the fourth wall and talking to the producer and basically like letting the audience in a little bit more and honestly getting a lot of allies. I don't know about you guys, but I was watching this and I was like, first of all, her husband must feel so good because she was so supportive of him and so defending him in such a great way and like just saying things that I was like, wow, like, how do people think on their feet like this? It's incredible. But she was just doing such a good job of defending him and then also of like laying down the law of like how it's not fair the way they've treated Michael Darby and how they're gonna treat Chris, who hasn't done anything, you know, just for a storyline basically. And then she says, don't cut any of it out, and she walks away. It was so amazing that the editors were able to actually leave that in. You know, obviously they could have cut out all the fourth wall, but they left it in, which I think is just, again, the magic of Potomac. They really, really show themselves. They're really authentic. So when they are caught in a moment of like, no, this isn't right, and they do address producers or whatever, it feels very real and not put on.
What is happening? I'm just gonna take my black ass and get out. Because the alternative is Gizelle gets the ra-ta-ta-ta one. I ain't giving y'all that. I'm sorry, I'm on a yoga mat. I got things to do and to lose. Not today, Satan. Not today, neck. Not today, ankles. We don't have it.
Oh, Candiace, if I could just have 1% of her confidence in how she speaks and everything she says, I don't know what you guys think. Like, I know she's done some really heinous things, just as they all have on Twitter towards Ashley. I mean, so much, the list can go on, but I just think her speaking to the camera.
Not today, Satan. Not today, neck. Not today, ankles. We don't have it.
She's amazing TV. You know, they have her cut to where she's walking out to her car. She's done with this. They're cutting in between her and the other ladies. And it's just such a magical scene. I really wanted to pick it apart with you guys. I want to do something just really quick. I have like a couple minutes left. I just want to go to the hot mic moment of Wendy. It's so short, but I just wanted to break it down with you guys since this is kind of like a fourth wall breaking episode. I just want to show you what they did to make it even more exciting and more suspenseful for us. I fell in love with Wendy in this moment. I was like, oh, this is why she's still on. I haven't been the biggest Wendy fan over the past, whatever season she's been on, but I have always been like, they know something more about her that we're not seeing that is going to come out. And honestly, like, this gave us a little bit of taste of it. To me, I felt like I got a little bit of a taste of what I could get in Wendy by this little moment where she's just totally like, she's not calculated. She forgets the mic is on and like just goes for it. Let's skip forward to that part, and I just want to show you kind of something that they did to make it feel more suspenseful.
Hey, baby.
So how are you with Leah?
I'm okay.
So what they did right away off the bat is they showed video of the sidewalk. Like, we don't even know what this footage really is. It's obviously over, the window. Most likely it's just footage, like the camera person was talking to someone and they just had the camera here. I don't know. They could have been filming the sidewalk because they're hoping Wendy's out there. Like, maybe they're kind of trying to imply that Wendy's on the sidewalk on her way out. Whatever it is, they used it because they want to kind of show that, like, we're not really focusing on any specific subject in general, but we should definitely be listening. And also in that, they put the subtitles on there because they're like, the most important part right now is not visual, it's audio.
I'm okay. I probably, outside of me and Karen, I'm probably the only one that's trying to give her a chance. But she's lying, so who cares? We all know she's lying.
You called her.
Okay.
Her delivery of that was absolutely my favorite. I rewound it like 10 times to listen to the way she threw that away. It was just like, well, she's lying, but who cares? After she just vehemently defended her inside, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the Wendy I love. I need to see more of this Wendy. In visual, they cut to just sort of like a static shot of this, decal in the window of this dance studio. We're not supposed to really be focusing on any visuals here. Kind of gives an eerie vibe when we're just staring at stuff that isn't really giving us anything visually. It's just static, but what's going on in the audio is really exciting. There's a contrast there that just makes it so suspenseful and so exciting.
We all know she's lying.
You called her a liar. I never have called her a liar. Stand in your truth. Are we done? Can we?
And then they cut to, obviously, they put the Chiron there of 20 minutes ago where she was just, really trying to defend her and telling everyone else that they were wrong for calling her a liar. And then here she is just totally just speaking like bluntly and plainly to this producer, totally forgetting. And now here we cut to a shot of just outside of just planter. Again, the visual is not important. It's what's going on in the audio.
Are we done? Can we get the mic, my love, Arlen?
Okay, so she's like caught, right? And then she's like, oh, can you please get this mic off of me? And then they have this big stinger.
Mic, my love, Arlen.
Highlighting the actual venue. Absolutely love that moment of Wendy. It totally made me feel like, keep her on. And actually, to be honest, I've had some other Wendy moments in this season where I've been like, I really kind of am interested in her. I feel like there's a bit of an unraveling going on of the professor, which we kind of want. Like, she's been trying to hold it together for us, and we've been seeing something brew under the surface, and we've been waiting for it to unravel because we're like, you're not like as perfect as you're trying to come off, So we want to see some unraveling because none of us are put together. We don't want to put together housewife. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching, leaving your classy comments, subscribing, liking the video, sharing with friends, whatever you guys do. I am just so appreciative. I've had so much fun kind of talking to you guys about this nerd stuff, and I hope we can continue doing it. So until next time.
I had a coochie craving for Michael.
But she's lying, so who cares? We all know she's lying.